Welcome to I Heart Geek.
And welcome to another special episode of I Heart Geek. Now, before I talk about who we have on the show today, we are talking about a semi-controversial, semi-weird television show, I think I want to call it, of Guardians of Justice. Oh my gosh. We'll get into it in a second. I'm Dub. I'm here with Kevin, and we made a new friend today. Kevin, tell us about our new friend.
This is one of my best friends. Well, this is my best friend, Ryan. My best friend. Anytime I ever have any kind of nerd conversations or want to pick somebody's brain on some weird theory that I have, he's my go-to person. And we just constantly, I think his wife, because I'm single, so his wife gets kind of annoyed.
I can't imagine anyone's wife getting annoyed with Kevin. No, yeah. I just can't. So how are you doing, Kevin?
I'm doing good. We're working on my background. I'm seeing it in full screen.
It's getting better.
I'm not too happy with it, but we're good.
It's getting better. Now let's talk to Ryan for a second. Okay. I've known you a grand total of about 8 minutes now, and I got to say that background is impressive. I am in awe. Can you tell us about this just for a second before we start talking?
Yeah, so just back here is a little bit of my video game collection, but over off to the side, I have about 25, 30 boxes of about 2,000 movies. I do a little bit of everything, kind of geeky, nerdy. I dabble in a little bit of everything with it.
So is what you're saying is you're a perfect candidate for I Heart Geek?
I would think so.
Okay, so let's jump right into this. I think I was the first one to discover the show, and then I kind of pass it on like a virus. It's Guardians of the Galaxy, and this is the first thing that impressed Guardians of Justice. This is the first thing that impressed me about it. You turn it on, and you see Diamond Dallas Page, and you're like, "Oh, this is going to be so monumentally bad, awesome, good, horrible," and you're right. Let's start with you, Ryan. What was your first impression of Guardians of Justice?
I think my favorite thing about it is at no point does this try to be a big blockbuster hit. It tries its hardest to be a love letter to Watchmen kind of comic book lore, but it at no point is it trying to be a box office hit.
Yeah, it kind of feels like Scott Pilgrim with a lower budget.
Yeah, I'd say it was for me, I think the immediate reaction was this is Trauma Films meets Watchmen.
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, I'd say we'll get more into it. What about you, Kevin? What's that first impression like, bow, that made you say, I'm going to sit through 10 episodes of this absolute garbage that is amazing?
It's so disorienting. It's because, and that's the one thing I loved it. Ryan, you said about it's not a big blockbuster. But what's wild about it is it knows what it is. It knows what it is. It knows what it's doing. And we're going from live action to cartoon to claymation and it back and forth, and it's very disorganizing, but it all makes sense and it's cohesive.
And it's different types of animation and different types of video games. It goes from the high, the Call of Duty type good graphics all the way down to Street Fighter. And it's amazing how they do that. And it just feels like if there's freaking claymation parts in this.
Yeah. You get a taste of that black and white from like a Fallout game. Yeah. And then it jumps right into almost like a Samurai Jack kind of black and white 2D style.
Yeah. Now, I want to talk about this. This is something that's near and dear to me, and it's something we've been talking about a lot on the Marco Polos over the last about couple weeks or so, because I think this is important. This gives us something. This is the right answer to when they say, okay, well, you know what? I want to take character A that's been around for 50 years, and I want to take this character and change him to be how I want to change him. That is the wrong answer. This show is the right answer, because they have a Batman-esque character. They have a Superman-esque character that is completely changed and on its ear. You can recognize it as, okay, this is definitely inspired by, but they don't crap on the legacy of Superman and Batman and Flash and everything else. They did and I think this is the proper way if you want to be an uncreative hack. Sorry, this has been passionate with me lately. And I'm not saying this was the creative way to be, to self-insert into these characters.
This is an exercise in character development and storylines at a level that we don't get in most shows. Now, we see it a lot in the Marvel shows, but you don't see it a lot in the Netflix superhero shows where they don't go down until it's a dead end and then turn around.
Yeah.
And they did that here, and I liked that a lot.
Yeah. And as I say, you have your Superman character that you can do whatever you want because it's not Superman. And there's something that's good about that to me.
Right.
Well, and it's like I know you're kind of going with it. It's not messing up the canon of the character. It's like we're not going to take
canon
this character.
Is the word canon, right?
Yeah,
okay.
We're not going to take this one character like a Batman, and now we're going to change him. Now he has his parents. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can see you're messing up everything. But instead, is like they took hey, we want a Batman character, but what they did is amazing. Batman's right. I don't want to touch it, but I'm influenced by it, so I'm going to create my entirely new character. Right. Yeah, and there's something beautiful into that, and there's something very creative into that as well.
And I don't know if you guys know this, but how disjointed it is. It was originally made to be several YouTube episodes.
Yeah,
you can feel that it feels
that
YouTube
energy
structured. Yeah, and I think there was so much inspiration that I could draw back to. I know where that's from, and it happens every single episode. And it can be in casting. It can be in storytelling, even the way they shot some of the scenes. You know where that's coming from.
Yeah,
and it was an exercise in character development.
Now, and I want to hit on the character development thing because that honestly, I see what you're saying. I agree. Up to episode about 5 or 6, and that's the point they lost me. And I felt like, okay, well now it's too deep. And it's a little too much, and they lost me on those last couple episodes. And I don't know if I'm the minority on that, but the fun-loving spirit of the first 5 episodes, you kind of lose towards the end, or was that just me?
I think they were wrapping up what they knew was probably not going to get a second season. Is the way it felt. It felt like a rushed ending.
It felt sad.
Where the writers felt like they needed to wrap up a storyline.
Yeah.
And there doesn't feel like a large avenue to create a second season. They could, but it feels very disjointed towards the end where it's like, hey, we need to wrap this up because we don't know what we're going to be. With what was the cartoon one they did on Amazon that we've been Invincible. Invincible feels like there's a next line to it.
Yeah.
It started to feel like that towards the middle, but the writers must have figured out that they were onto something. And Invincible wraps it up in a way that you're definitely getting that second season. But you're on the edge of your seat.
But you also have to realize with Invincible, there is 26 graphic novels. We've hit graphic novel 1 so far.
Right.
And so that's what's great about having that established canon.
Yeah.
Well, how do you do that? Were we doing spoilers right now?
You know what? If you haven't watched it, you're not going to care about the spoilers because who cares? Yeah. This is one of those. You could have told me the end, and I wouldn't have cared. We're doing spoilers.
So, how do you tell the closet homosexual story in one season? Like that was
it was too
smart.
much.
It was very smart, and I actually enjoyed it, and I liked where it went. But man, it would have had so much more impact if you had 2 or 3 seasons, but they knew they weren't going to have 2 or 3 seasons. So let's just cram my entire vision into one.
Yeah.
You know?
You could do it in a 2-hour movie and be successful with it. They did it with Moonlight. I mean, you can get that in there. You can get that character arc in there and that emotion behind it.
Mm-hmm.
This felt like an answer that was out of left field that didn't mesh with the story at all.
It's an answer to a question nobody asked.
Right, exactly.
The one
as much as it sounds like I'm harping on this, I love this. Otherwise, we would not be doing this episode.
Right.
Well, the one thing I did like, though, is that nobody was ever truly good. and nobody was. There were so many different shades of gray that actually it started getting muddy.
Yeah.
Into the 3/4 mark. I think that's really weird.
That's where it lost me.
Muddy.
Yeah.
It got way too muddy to where, okay, well, who do I actually root for? There's nobody to root for. And you need at least somebody to root for in this, And then the one person you start rooting for towards the end, she goes and she dies. So,
yeah.
What do you, but I absolutely did love this show, though, because of, you can see where it wanted to go.
Yeah.
So
I want to talk just for a second on what I think was a complete and total unsung hero in this. He's around for a total, I think, of 3 scenes, and that's the wrestler John Morrison.
John Morrison.
Yeah.
Johnny Impact. Yeah.
He is a B movie star. I love this guy, but there's the way they handled him was so hilarious, and I mean, yes, it's definitely it's Robin. It's the oldest Robin. It's Dick. It's grown up and he becomes Nightwing. That's basically what they were doing. But they handled it so well. And then that death scene, because he was so good, it threw me off. I'm like, what? No, because they killed
him. They killed him as quickly as he showed up.
Yeah.
But his little sight gags they gave him was, I think, one of the best parts of this show.
Mm-hmm.
So did you guys have any scene stealers for you guys?
Well, I had a moment.
Go
ahead, Ryan. You're the guest.
Yeah.
Okay. So I had a moment where they had President Newcomb on, and I started realizing where that voice is from. And Christopher Judge is actually the guy who plays President Newcomb, but he's the voice in God of War 2018.
Oh, really?
So it's like all of a sudden I was like, oh, where do I know that voice from? Oh, wait, I just played that game last summer.
Now, I thought the president character was a little too forced down your throat, but you can definitely tell what it was a
dystopian president.
He can tell what the creator's political views are.
It was like Idiocracy's president.
It was like Idiocracy, like President.
Definitely. But yeah, I thought that was a little heavy-handed. Just like I thought the end of the series was heavy-handed, but the rest of it was just so light. And I wish it would have had about another 4 episodes, just kind of give it a ramp instead of just that drop off.
It's a drop.
Yeah. So what about you, Kevin? What scene stealers did you find?
Honestly, so that first scene, what you open up with, not knowing anything about this movie, and all of a sudden, like, oh, okay, so that's going to be their main superhero. That's going to be their Superman. Okay, they did a really good job within the first 3-4 minutes, of like building him up. Like, okay,
this is amazing.
Yeah, okay, cool. And then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, he just killed himself. What the heck? And like from that scene right there, I okay, how?
Yeah. And I love that was a mystery the entire time through.
Yeah.
I love that kind of Batman detective type story.
Yeah.
Because nothing in it was clear cut.
Well, I like that they go right for a suicide on live TV. Like that's a dark place.
That's where you go first.
It's a really dark place to go in a show in your first 10 minutes.
But I'll tell you why it's perfect. Because if you couldn't get on board for that, you were not going to enjoy the rest of the show.
Yeah.
I thought that was a temperature gauge.
But it's for you, and if this isn't for you,
you'll be done.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make any apologies for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think more movies need to do that. I mean, I'm not, not every movie needs to be a blockbuster. This will never win an award. This is not going to be our highest viewed episode because no one has seen this movie. It's not for everybody, but I think there needs to be more stuff like this.
Well, it's gonna have a cult following because it's like Dub, you knew I was gonna like it, so I was like, all right, cool, I'll watch it, and I'm like, oh my god, I gotta tell a couple people this, and then Ryan tells a couple people, and that's how movies like this, they're not looking to get awards. He had a vision, he's putting it out there, and now all of a sudden it has this cult following that's gonna start building up, and mark of words, 2, 3, 4 years. more people are going to know about this.
Yeah.
Just because of that reason. I mean, how did you find out about it, Dub? Did you?
Honestly, I saw it on the Netflix queue. I'm like
randomly.
Well, because I saw that it was a takeoff of Justice League without it being Justice League, and it just something in me right now is looking for that. Because I want.
You're not getting it from DC, that's for sure.
No. Well, they already tried to give it to me with the Eternals, and that didn't work out real well.
That was terrible.
That's another show for another day. But with that being said, that did the same thing this did. It gave you the Flash and Superman and Wonder Woman, and they literally gave you all of this in this, only a lower budget. And I got into this guy's vision of the characters.
Mm-hmm.
And I can, it's like watching an Elseworld story. It's like, okay, this does not matter in my continuity. I don't care. Ghost Rider didn't have to be on a motorcycle for this. I'm okay with this. But in the real world, in the real DC, I don't want this to be Batman. This would piss me off if they did this to Superman or Wonder Woman or Flash. Like, okay, you changing gender and blah, blah, blah. No, you don't do that to that character, but the inspired by, it's an Elseworld story. And that's a properly told story. And I saw that from the minute I watched it. I'm like, I'm in.
Yeah, I like the underlying, there's an underlying tone that they issue with it where it's kind of like X-Men, where there's other people who have the same powers, and they make the comment that Speed she's the fastest person on the planet, but Motion Blur, he also has the same ability, but he's not as quick. And then there's another guy who he's so fast he actually
weird
sees
elitist
future,
kind of, yeah,
right. So it almost felt like a mutant ability, way to approach that,
kind of.
Well, and then you even went into like there's a whole God realm too. I just love he created. There's like so much lore there on something that probably should not be have this much lore.
Yeah,
it's extremely smart. Like I said, we got about halfway through the show, and I just sat there and going, "This guy's a genius." Like as crazy as this show is, a couple of things I wish so that last whatever happened to their Joker character? He was in the first 2 episodes,
and they forgot about him.
And then and I was actually like really like interested in where that one was going to go. It's like, oh God, he's so evil. He's just coming through, and it's like you never hear about him again. The whole
straight Joker ripoff, and he's gone. He was gone after like the 3rd episode,
based off of him,
Right.
And then the first end credits. But like I said, there's so much more that this can go. I would love a second season, and I don't think we're going to get one.
But I had a problem with the Shazam character, Awesome Man, or what was that guy's name?
Awesome Man.
Just because of all the white supremacy stuff that was like dabbled onto it, even his costume and everything else. Like, okay, I see what you're doing here, but that's probably a little tone deaf.
Yeah.
The guy that played the character was perfect, and just
Derek Mears.
By simply changing that patch, they would have had a lot less things for people to gripe about. But I'm guessing that this creator wants thing to give you something to gripe about.
He started the show with a suicide on live TV.
Yeah.
He wants you.
He's definitely dropping a finger as he writes.
Yeah. That was a pretty cool scene though. Whenever he transformed into the kid. When the kid said the word, but you didn't see him, the Talbot or whatever he says. You were looking at her, and he goes Talbot, and I'm like, wait a second, that's not the kid. And then it pans over, and then you realize the kid has the exact same costume as Awesome Man, and it just kind of, for as wild this show is, it blew my mind the very last part. Even though I was wishing more, I was like, oh my God, that's so cool,
Yeah. Now let's talk about the ending for a second. I wasn't satisfied with the ending at all, but again, because I had been ramped down and I was disappointed at that point. So I don't know if I'm, just being particular, but that ending did not feel right to me with the well, are we going to drop her with the others? No, she's a hero. It just felt a little, I don't
The
know
whole
what.
thing, it felt like a mess. Like the last like 5 minutes are just all over.
I
the
would
place.
actually watch the entire episode, watch this entire show. Just don't watch the last episode.
Right. Yeah.
Just be like Doctor Who, rip out the last chapter of the book.
Animated Mecha Hitler and space
Oh
octopuses.
my gosh.
Just all over the place.
Yeah, it was like watching a Rick and Morty episode at times. It's like,
that's what it felt like.
What the heck am I watching? But it's fantastic. I don't know why, but it is.
Well,
and,
with that last part there, yeah, I was kind of underwhelmed, but like I appreciated it. Like he didn't leave it off. Like it was left off. It was a cliffhanger, but it really wasn't. It was like, okay, you know what? He's a bad guy. He's a good guy that had to do a lot of bad things because he had to do all those bad things because in his mind he's really a good guy and he's trying to protect the world from this thing that might become. We really don't know if it's actually coming, so he could be just crazy. Like for some reason,
I felt like that was it. All the whole time it's just an insane man's idea. And
go ahead.
Or
he's not insane. We don't know.
And he's the only sane one.
Yeah, he could be the only sane one.
Right.
But honestly, this is more of a logical conclusion to the actual comic book Dark Knight Rises, when he goes into hiding and trains up that whole army of people. This is the logical conclusion of that. That is more. Mm-hmm. This movie was more real on that ending than Dark Knight Rises. Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, that says a lot.
He is old man Batman. Like this is Batman.
This is his
where
final
he's
run.
Going as he continues. But you
they
never
can drop a diamond cutter. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, with the diamond cutter, he definitely uses that. No, I mean this is like I was listening to an interview with DDP about this, and like he said, his inspiration was okay. Well, what if Batman, was 70 years old, and he had just witnessed like everybody dying around him. He's just tired. He's angry. He's popping painkillers all the time because he's not a superhero.
Yeah.
Like what would he actually be like? And that's he would drink. He would, that's
that's gonna send him over the edge.
Mm-hmm.
So we have both crapped on and loved this movie. So I'm gonna ask two questions of this. That's usually how we end these, but I'm gonna add a question. What type of person would you recommend this show for, and what grade do you give it? Let's start with you, Kevin.
Oh, the grade one's a hard one. If I recommend this show, if people that like B movies, your cult classics, if you like, is almost like a Rocky Horror Picture Show, might be a little too sane for you, but that's that style.
That's good, actually.
Trauma, your Trolls 2, which one of these days I'm gonna convince everybody to watch Trolls 2. Something like that. That B movie, very bad movie. But it's so good.
Yeah.
That's who you want to people that are into that because you have to be into it. And then a grade.
Give it a grade. A+ through F.
I need to. You know what? For what it is and for what it did, I'm going to say a B-.
Okay.
B-. I'm going to go B.
I like it.
For what it knew what it was. There could have been better, but it really did what it was supposed to do.
Yeah. What about you, Ryan?
So for me, this is for someone who likes. This is more of a graphic novel fans kind of show. I think my favorite thing about this was every time I put it down for a day or two or didn't watch it, every time I came back to it within 5 minutes, I was sucked in. Didn't matter how mediocre the story was or how not big budget the costumes and the film work were. I was in it. I was in it. I was back in it. I was enjoying it. I was enjoying the story. I was enjoying the character interaction. And this is just for the people who like when they portray a graphic novel in film, like a John Wick kind of style. John Wick 2 was more like that. And then, for me, a grade, I'd probably give it a B. It would have been higher if episode 6 and 7 were not just so out of left field and not
depressing.
part of what was going on.
That's fair. Okay, so I would recommend it to anybody that's stopped reading DC and Marvel because you don't like how it's going, but you still have that love of comics. That's who I would recommend this to, because this was as off the wall and bizarre as it sounds. This is a love letter to comic books.
It really is.
Yep.
It really not
arcade, like arcades, because it's got that Mortal Kombat all over it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got
it's pop culture all over the place,
right?
It's
everywhere.
Pop culture. Yeah.
Even Diamond Dallas Page's delivery is like very Peter Cullen in Transformers-esque.
Yeah, that's good. Actually,
I got that immediately. Actually,
yeah. So I will grade it. If you don't take it too seriously, I'm gonna give it a good B-. If you go into it expecting, this is gonna sound terrible. If you're going into it expecting to love it, it's gonna be a D. I mean, it's not one of those movies. It's one of those movies you experience, if that makes sense. But if you go into it, I'm not gonna take this seriously. It's a joke. I get it. You're gonna love this, and it's a good B.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an episode, guys. Shoo. Thanks for joining us today, Ryan. We appreciate you coming on.
No problem.
We'd definitely like to hear from you again on some other
Absolutely. I'd love to be on again.
Check out our website, www.iheartgeekshow.com. Use the comment we paid extra for it. Go to the Facebook, the Instagram, the Twitter, the smoke signals, the whatever else we have.
The smoke signals are good. I've been following them a lot lately. They're really good.
Yeah, we have a new guy that's doing the smoke signals, so
he's
really, really good at it. So if you're in the right spot and the wind's blowing just right, you can catch it all the way to Florida. So until next time, I'm Dub. I'm here with Kevin. I'm here with Ryan. Keep on geeking on, guys. We'll see you next time.
You have been listening to the latest episode of the iHeart Geek Show. Make sure you visit our website at www.iheartgeekshow.com. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And if you check us out on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And keep on geeking on to all of you geek rock stars.